The message also states that they've sent out Omega, but they haven't heard back from him. While Jack is skeptical about the message's authenticity, Kruger wants them to be on alert, since indeed the date is July 11th. Aboard Grumm's ship, Morgana is training to fight the Rangers, telling the Emperor that she's also called in some assistance from a powerful warrior named Shorty. Morgana finds Z first and attacks, the two engaging in a very impressive civilian fight for a bit, while the other Rangers fight Shorty. Z morphs and does her best, but Morgana kicks her ass something fierce. She then leaves, laughing at Z and promising to finish her off later. Z rejoins the other Rangers, who have also been forced to demorph by the monster. Morgana assumes control of a giant robot and plants some kind of device in the city. The Rangers head out in the Megazord and fight Morgana, but Shorty finishes working on the device. Fortunately, the Shadow Ranger arrives and stops him from activating it. However, after some more fighting, they do activate it. And it just ends up being fireworks. And they needed a huge device for that. Why? Actually, the fireworks are a signal for Shorty's big brother, Devastation, who arrives and knocks the Rangers away just by waving his sword and shooting them for a bit. Devastation, wanting the Rangers to feel fear after a humiliating defeat, retreats with Morgana and Shorty. Back at SPD, Kat confirms that Devastation and Shorty are the two most wanted criminals in the galaxy. To make matters worse, SPD Galactic Command is short-handed and can't send any reinforcements for them. Oh, and to really make their lives worse, Shorty attacks yet again, and the attack by the Rangers' finishing move only makes him grow. The Zords are too badly damaged to come to their aid.
Now what do we do? I hate empty buildings!
Wow, as if the homeless weren't an indication, the abandoned buildings really show how crappy the future's economy is. This is what happens when you try to follow Angel Grove's domestic policies, you know. Part 2 begins with the Delta Command Megazord being sent in to fight Shorty. While it is bigger than Shorty, he's much faster and manages to outmaneuver the giant robot. However, a new challenger appears, a giant motorcycle that forms into a new Zord. The new Zord, the Omega Max Cycle, following the example of the Ninja Storm Rangers, flies at Shorty on its stomach and then slashes it with its blades. Before Devastation and Morgana can join the fray, a new Ranger leaps out of the Zord.
Look! There he is! Whoa! Incredible!
First 5 Rangers, then 6, and now 7.
It's only gonna take one Ranger to stop you. And that'd be me. SPD Omega Ranger! And I traveled a long way, just for you.
He has the ability to slow down time, which he demonstrates by stopping laser pellets heading for him. And this doesn't make a lick of sense, since they still have the same amount of inertia and force, it's just that they appear to be going slower. But then again, this is Power Rangers, the show where Kruger's massive nose will be scrunched up inside a flat helmet. The Omega Ranger forces the two villains to withdraw, and the other Rangers talk to him. He reveals himself to be the glowing ball of light and flies off. At headquarters, they can't find any record of him in their database, but he arrives and reveals that he came through a time portal from a previous episode. Long story, watch the episode Samurai for it. Bridge scans him and detects only a huge energy reading, no human life signs.
Oh, I'm human. Passing through the time portal has crystallized my being into light energy.
If you're human, tell us where you came from.
The future.
He explains that he traveled back to stop the invasion and very smugly says his advanced tech will stop Morgana and Devastation and that they'd only get in his way. They let him go off on his unicycle, seriously, and he engages the two along with their Crybots. While he fights, I will say that I find his costume perplexing. All the other SPD uniforms have a stylized number on them, even the Shadow Ranger, but what the heck is the Omega Rangers supposed to be? It kinda looks like a Roman numeral for 6, but considering he's the 7th, it just seems weird. Though I suppose since Shadow Ranger is labeled 100 and not 6, it probably doesn't count or something. I don't know. Maybe I just can't see what the actual symbol is. I will also state that I find the decision to make him just a ball of light, well, stupid. I really don't get the logic behind it. Was there some acting compensation thing that made it cheaper if they didn't have a civilian mode? That's nice for saving money, I guess, but it kind of makes it difficult to have him as an actual character hanging out with the others. Bruce Kalish has said apparently that he did regret that decision later on. Anyway, the Rangers decide to help him out as he gets his ass kicked and they defeat Devastation, Morgana managing to get away. At the end of the episode, he reveals that he's Sam, the other kid who had powers. In the next episode, we see that the Omega Max and Delta Megazords can combine to form the Delta Max Megazord, which has the finishing move of, running up to the enemy really fast and punching it. Meanwhile, after the defeat of yet another of his robots, this one not even paid for, Broodwing plots to betray Grum for the waste of his resources. In the next episode, a two-parter called Reflections, Cat and Boom have started working on a battleizer, though haven't quite perfected it yet. It does provide more development on the Jack and Sky relationship, though. The battleizer was designed specifically to work with the Red Ranger's morpher, and of course Sky is feeling down about being passed over. He says he's gotten over it, but he tells Jack about his desire to be like his father.
All I ever wanted to be was just like him. A Red Ranger.
Sure, your father was an incredible guy.
He was my hero.
Sky. Heroes come in all colors.
The episode is also cool for another reason. Sky is sent to interrogate a criminal mastermind on a prison planet who can escape through any reflective surface. There's just one thing I love about it. In addition to covering up all the reflective surfaces of Sky's uniform, the producers had the foresight to also cover up his eyes. It's just so rare to see that kind of forward thinking, and I really have to give it kudos. However, the larger story at work with it is that this mastermind is also the criminal responsible for killing Sky's father. Though this does mean that if Sky's father is Wes, then he's dead. That's kind of a bummer. We see Jack's battleizer, and it looks, not bad actually, just with shoulder pads, a belt, boots, and a thong. Yeah, that part is completely unnecessary, but otherwise it's just light armor enhancements and it looks good. It also gets a secondary mode with a large chest plate and jetpack. Looks a little like the goofier old battleizers, but still not too bad, all things considered. Oh, also, I'm sure people want me to mention this, but this battleizer was also featured in the Sentai, blah blah blah, I don't care about the Sentai. Anyway, the criminal plays on Sky's emotions and manages to get him to shed a tear, and the reflective surface of it allows him to escape. The plot itself is pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, it's a strong character development episode. Sky wants to be demoted for his failure, but Kruger leaves it in Jack's hands.
You told me your father fought to the end. And now you want to quit because you messed up once? I guess you're not much like your father after all.
I say we split up. Hit the streets.
All right.
In the episode's conclusion, Jack even gives Sky the Red Ranger morpher so that he can bring the criminal in. We'll talk about this some more when we get to the character analysis. You may have noticed that I'm talking about a lot more individual episodes this season than I have with previous ones. That's because it honestly feels like more of a serialized show, where the events of individual episodes have a greater impact on the characters. There is still filler, of course, but they're a lot fewer in number. Hell, even in filler episodes, it feels like subplots develop. For example, Piggy is brought before Grum and he's told that he has to make his choice: support SPD or the Emperor. Piggy chooses him and starts working to undermine SPD, though instead Broodwing recruits Piggy for his own purposes. Poor guy's just getting tossed around like a football. In the following two-parter, SWAT, the Rangers' petty bickering starts interfering on the battlefield, made worse by the theft of their new SWAT armor technology. The Rangers are sent to another planet to be trained by Sergeant Silverback to better work together, whose training technique is to shoot them and then unleash hordes of Crybots on them. Well, that's tough love for you. Actually, I rather like the Sergeant. During the episode, they keep making snarky remarks and snide comments in front of Kruger, and while Kruger can be tough sometimes, he's not exactly the guy who raises his voice to his officers most of the time. When Jack makes a snide comment, Silverback makes him start doing push-ups right away. He's exactly the kind of hard-ass necessary to whip them into shape.
10 hood! What just happened here, cadets?
We were preparing to battle that monster.
Preparing? You prepare to go on a date. You prepare dinner. You prepare to go on vacation. You do not prepare to go to battle. You are already prepared. You do not wait for the enemy to come to you. You go to your enemy.
Meanwhile, an installation on Gamma 4 has been attacked and destroyed by Grum's forces, but there is a mysterious element to the message. The last distress call had them yell out, "They're not the..." before communications were terminated. The Rangers are eventually forced back together again after a series of grueling obstacle courses, and they realize how much they need and care about each other. The Rangers return to Earth in their new SWAT gear, which actually makes them resemble A-Squad quite a bit, and looks pretty good for Battleizer-esque enhancements. Though Piggy manages to get the data for the SWAT technology and give it to both Broodwing and Grum. One thing the villains don't get, though, is the new SWAT Megazord, made up of 5 SWAT flyer vehicles. Its finisher move is to turn itself into a giant gun. Truly Power Rangers logic at its finest. In a follow-up episode, we get a bit more character development for Kat, though really it's just to show how needed she is on Earth and also give her something unique.
There's a time for talk and a time for action. Ha! SPD! Emergency!
Another one?
SPD Cat Ranger!
Yeah, it only lasts for 1 hour and it's never used again, but that still brings the total Ranger count for this season to 8, the most we've had on a single team, plus the only canon instance, as far as I know, of an orange-colored Ranger on any team. Following that, there's another filler, but its significance is at the very end. While Kruger congratulates the Rangers on how far they've come, Grum speaks in the dark to something that he serves, but also stating that he doesn't need them yet. The real fun, though, is in the next episode, History.
Let us proceed. Do you have them?
Right here. I procured them on the planet Onyx for a considerable sum.
We cut to Reefside High School in 2005. Ethan and Connor meet up for their high school reunion, which is being held in the afternoon, apparently. Whatever. Ethan has moved on to college, and Connor's working on getting youth soccer groups together.
Hey, do you think Kira's coming?
I doubt it. I heard she moved to New York to try and get a recording contract.
Trying being the key word.
Kira! So when can we expect to hear your first big single?
Oh, I'm already all over the radio, singing cat letter jingles.
Shall we?
We shall.
However, as they walk to the reunion, they're teleported to the future and are confronted by Broodwing, who says they'll help him destroy the planet. Within a split second, they kick the monster back and grab their dino gems. Not sure how the hell they saw them in that short amount of time, and run off. Back at HQ, Kat is detecting a fluctuation in the morphing grid, reading the 3 Ranger energy signals. They suspect it's the A-Squad and go off to try to collect them. The Dino Rangers are cornered by Crybots, managing to fight them off rather well and even use their civilian powers again. Broodwing once again offers them to join him.
Maybe you're suffering from a lack of oxygen for being in that punch bowl too long, but in case you didn't notice, we're the good guys.
SPD arrives and saves the 3, and they both reveal their Rangers. The 3 are brought back to headquarters and are told the premise of their season.
Okay, I'm not complaining, but our command center was a cave.
The Dino Thunder Rangers are eager to go after Broodwing, but both Kruger and the SPD team don't want them doing anything, since they're untrained and they don't want to put them in danger since Broodwing is after them.
The quarry's under attack.
It's a frickin' quarry! It has rocks in it! Is he attacking the rocks? This is a serious problem with all the Disney season team-ups. They always conclude in a friggin' quarry. Now, of course, it's because it's a hell of a lot easier to set up special effects shots in a big, empty quarry than it is to do it in a place with sets and industrial zones where it's easier to get hurt, but it robs the team-up fights of their uniqueness if it's always done in the same damn area. Plus, that same openness is what allows them to do those moronic back explosions during the fight. Anyway, the SPD Rangers head out and fight the monster off until it retreats. Meanwhile, Grum is beginning to suspect Broodwing's treachery, though he's more concerned about what would happen to his own reputation if he wasn't the one who destroyed the Rangers. As such, he launches a full-scale ground assault on Earth, unleashing an army of Crybots, Blueheads, and whatever the hell the orange things are supposed to be called. The Dino Rangers naturally want to get in on the action, but Kruger once again refuses. The Omega Ranger is sent out to deal with a giant monster, while Kruger goes to help the others, ordering the Dino Rangers to stay behind. Grum himself arrives on the scene with Morgana.
Kruger, you and your precious SPD have stood in my way long enough. It ends now!
Naturally, the Dino Rangers are all screw this crap and head out to help the others, though first Kat has them hand in their Dino Gems so she can better prepare them.
At last, no more Power Rangers.
Think again, bonehead.
What?
This is not a good idea.
Get out of here!
You have no idea how much power Grum has. We brought a little power of our own.
Kat's the coolest. She pulled our morphers out of the archives and regenerated them.
Don't get mad at us, Commander. You would have done the same thing.
You have a point. Now let's show Grum what we can do together.
Power Rangers, suit up! Power Rangers! You guys ready? Ready!
Dino Thunder!
SPD, emergency!
Super Dino Mode! Swap Mode!
I'll say one thing about history. It's an efficient team-up. It does exactly what it needs to do quickly, get the Rangers together and make the final battle epic. It performs that excellently, since not only do we get the main bad guy in on the fight, but throughout the season we've established how dangerous the more advanced Crybot models are, and how difficult they can be to take down. So seeing two Ranger teams together and kicking ass against something like that is pretty damn cool. Where it suffers is in the character department. We get some lip service to what the three Dino Rangers have been doing since graduating, but we don't check in on Tommy or Trent or anybody else, and it doesn't really advance the Dino Rangers or the SPD team. It's just there because it's cool to have them together. Part of the reason why Reinforcements from the Future ranks so high in my mind is that it balances great action and character bits. It's another problem with the season starting with this one, and I'll talk about it more when we reach Operation Overdrive, but essentially there's a problem of pacing and character. In an episode like Reinforcements, we got scenes of just the characters interacting, having fun, or even being confrontational. But at the same time, there were quiet scenes, very little music, but they slowed down to allow camaraderie and friendships develop between two teams. With this, though, it's just action pieces with some brief bits mostly for exposition. Yeah, it's cool to see the teams together and hear the Dino Thunder theme while they're kicking ass, but it lacks a lot of humanity, preferring just to show off the dumb slow-motion explosions. Though I admit it's awesome to see Grum get blasted by the Dino Rangers as weapons. The Dino Rangers volunteer to stay in the future and help them fight off Grum, but they say the three need to go back due to the history they create.
Besides, Kira, if you don't get back, you'll never start your recording career.
My recording career?
Of course. You become a huge singing sensation. I grew up listening to your songs.
Yeah, and everyone knows about the Connor McKnight soccer camps. They're all over the country.
For real?
Wow. And Ethan, you have to go back. You developed some software that we still use here at SPD.
You mean I'm a genius? Sweet.
Your lives as Rangers have made a difference. But you all go on to lead exciting and significant lives after you hang up your helmets.
It's amazing. I think we're ready to go back, Commander.
Your courage and dedication will live on in Ranger legend. Thank you all.
The Dino Rangers are sent back in time. Not sure how the hell they can send them back in time, but they can't send Sam back to the future, but whatever. And they erase their memories of the encounter. At the end of the next episode, Impact, Grum begins working on upgrades to his fortress ship, saying he's creating the Magnificence. It becomes clear to him that Broodwing is working against him, but while he makes a token effort of fighting him, instead he refocuses his plans in other areas. He even has a secret door that Morgana tries to get into.
Would you like to know what's in there?
Yes.
None of your business!
He does send Morgana to Earth to retrieve jars and jars of something called Hemotech. Kat says it's an experimental life fuel, whatever the hell that means, promising to give her whatever she wants if she succeeds. In the meantime, Kruger's old rival, during a fight, reveals that his wife is still alive. After Morgana retrieves the plasma, Grum grants her wish and restores her to being Mora. However, Mora's curiosity gets the better of her and she enters the Forbidden Door, horrified by what she sees. As she flees, she drops her doll outside of the room. The next episode, Insomnia, is a clip show, but it has a good framing device for it. The Rangers overhear Kruger talking to Kat about how he hopes the A-Squad is alive, but also that he sometimes wonders whether they'd have beaten Grum by now if he hadn't sent them off. As a result, the Rangers, all suffering from insomnia, meet up and consider how they've developed. Grum discovers what Mora has done and throws her back into the room with the Magnificence. A pullback only reveals a bunch of purple energy. Back with the Insomniac Rangers, they also wonder why Grum hasn't just nuked Earth from orbit, since he's done so before in his other conquests, and speculate that he needs something on Earth, and they begin putting the pieces together. Many of the items he's stolen throughout the season, including diamonds, gold, iridium, radioactive pieces of a meteor that they had destroyed in Impact, and the Hemotech plasma. They realize that Grum must be constructing some type of weapon with all the materials he's stolen, and tell Kruger about how they overheard him.
Apparently, you didn't eavesdrop on my conversation long enough. If you had, you would have heard Kat and I agree that if A-Squad was that good, they would not have fallen into Grum's hands. As you haven't.
They also tell him what they've figured out. However, as the episode ends, the energy pulls away from Mora's eyes.
Yes, magnificence. I pledge my allegiance. It will be done, and you will rule the galaxy.
However, there are other concerns building as Grum's ship enters a wormhole and leaves their galaxy. The Rangers are ecstatic at first, thinking he's retreated, but Kruger says he knows him too well to think he's left for good. Kat detects the wormhole, and what's worse, it's a temporal anomaly, meaning he's traveled back through time. Where has he gone?
Great. I'm just about to defeat the dreaded Maxidrum when his evil ship comes by and destroys all that I've done. Can you believe it?
It's just a game, Ethan.
Yeah, you're acting as if it's real. What if it is real? What if this game is really an ancient diary telling me about a real event that happened in a distant galaxy, far, far away?
Ethan, your mind is the only thing that is far, far away.
Oh.